Anne Frank was born on June 12, 1929, in the German city of Frankfurt am Main. She has a sister, Margot, who is more than 3 years older than Anne. Germany is in the midst of economic crisis, with unemployment and poverty on the rise. At the same time, the number of supporters of Adolf Hitler and his party is growing. Hitler hates Jews and sees them as the source of all the problems in the country. Hatred of the Jews and the unfavorable economic situation forced Anne's parents, Otto and Eddie Frank, to move to Amsterdam. Otto established a company there that sells pectin for making jam. Anna easily settles into her new country. She learns the language, makes friends, and goes to a Dutch school. Anna's father works tirelessly to provide for the family, but he has a hard time. On September 1st, 1939, when Anna is 10 years old, Nazi Germany invades Poland. World War II begins. Soon after, on May 10, 1940, the Germans occupy the Netherlands. The Dutch army surrenders after 5 days. The occupiers passed numerous laws and regulations that made life difficult for Jews. In particular, Jews are forbidden to visit parks, cinemas, and shops. Anna goes out less and less. Her father is losing his business because Jews are no longer allowed to own businesses. The Nazis imposed more and more restrictive measures, and there were rumors that all Jews would have to leave Holland. When Margot receives a summons to a labor camp in Nazi Germany on July 5, 1942, her parents suspect that something is wrong. They do not believe it is work-related and decided to hide in a shelter to avoid persecution. In the spring of 1942, in the back of the house at Prinsengracht 263, where Otto Frank's company had its office, Anne's father set up a secret hiding place for the family. His former colleagues help him in this endeavor. After a while, former people join them. The hiding place is very cramped. Anne has to be quieter than water, lower than grass, and she is often scared. On her 13th birthday, Anna received a scrapbook as a gift. In the shelter, he started keeping a diary in this album. For 2 years, she records all the events that take place in the shelter, as well as her feelings and thoughts. She composes short stories, tries to write a novel, and writes down quotes from books she likes. The diary helps her pass the days in the shelter. After hearing a speech on Dutch radio Oranje, which had been evacuated to England by the Dutch Minister of Education, who called on citizens to preserve documents and diaries that testified to the suffering of the people during the German occupation, Anna decides to rewrite and edit her notes, turning them into one coherent story called The World. Anna does not have time to finish editing her diary, because on August 4, 1944, the police break into the hideout and arrested all of its occupants, as well as 2 of those who helped the family hide. It is still unknown how the police find out about the secret hideout. Despite the arrest, some of Anna's notes are preserved. 2 other sympathizers of the Frank family managed to save the papers before the Gestapo emptied the asylum. The arrested are sent to the Auschwitz death camp. The train journey lasts 3 days. Anna travels in a cattle car among thousands of other deportees. People are hardly given anything to eat or drink, and a single barrel serves as a toilet. Upon arrival at Auschwitz, the deportees are examined by Nazi doctors to determine who is and who is not fit to hard forced labor. About 350 of Anna's fellow travelers were immediately burned in the gas chambers. Anna, her sister, and mother are sent to a camp for women. Otto is sent to a camp for men. In early 1944, Anna and her sister Margot were sent to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. The girls' parents remain in Auschwitz. The living conditions in Bergen-Belsen are just as terrible as those in Auschwitz. It's cold and hungry. Anna and her sister contract typhus and die in February 1945, first Margot and then Anna. The only one who manages to survive the war is Anna's father Otto. After the liberation of Auschwitz by Soviet troops, he returns to Holland. During a long train journey, he learns of the death of his wife Edith. Upon returning to Holland, he receives the sad news of the deaths of Anne and Margot. Anna's surviving diary entries amaze Otto to the core. It turns out that his daughter dreamed of becoming a writer or journalist and wanted to publish her stories about life in the orphanage. On June 25, 1947, the diary was published in 3,000 copies. Subsequently, the book is translated into 70 languages. People all over the world become familiar with Anne's story, and in 1960, the shelter is transformed into the Anne Frank House Museum. Until his death in 1980, Otto continued to be actively involved in the activities of the Anne Frank Museum and Foundation, hoping that readers of his daughter's diary will be able to realize the dangers associated with discrimination, racism, and hatred of Jews.